Hi everybody, Rebecca Yates here, hope you're all okay. So for this makeup tutorial I'm going to be recreating Carey Mulligan's makeup look from American Vogue. I'd seen this makeup look on a YouTube video with the behind the scenes from the photo shoot that they did, and I fell in love instantly with the whole of the makeup look as well, and with the red lips as well. So it's copying and creating the covers for the Great Gatsby film, which is coming out next month, which I am very excited about, as you can tell. So here we are, so it's recreating that look for you and just showing a few techniques how to build that up and how to create that shape for you. So stay tuned and hope you enjoy. Okay, so what I've done first is just curled and pin curled my hair, as you can see. So later on it just gives that full effect of the photo shoot that she was in as well. So it's very much that sort of soft finger wave curls going through the hair. So I've just done that. So I've just put them in the pin curl clips just to leave them to cool. So what I've done first is just prep my skin with a primer, which is the Illamasqua Satin Primer here. And the foundation that I'm going to be using is the Illamasqua Skin Base, and that's in number 3 there. So I've just bought these last week, just a full set of them as well. So, because I've really fancied a change from these, and I've had so many of my friends and all my makeup artist friends say how brilliant they are as well. So what I'm going to do is just apply a little bit over ready, and apply that on. So I'm just matching it more to my own skin tone as well, but I'll be doing a little bit of highlighting and contouring on the skin as well, so that way it just gives that more editorial kind of finish there. So on the photographs it would look very much highlighted and contoured on the pictures as well. Okay, so I'm just going to be moving on to the highlighting and concealing of the skin as well. So what I'm going to be using is the new CID Eye Conceal pens here. So this one I'm going to be using is in Extra Light here. So with the under eyes, I'm going to leave them until the whole eye makeup's done there. So with using the darker colours, they will tend to drop down a little bit, so that way it just safeguards it, and then that way it saves cleaning it all up and then putting it back on again. So I'm just going to be using this to highlight. So just take a little twist of it, and then what I'm going to do is just place it on top of the cheekbone, just around about there. And just the same on the opposite side. Alright, and now I'm going to be using a fluffy brush, and then just pat it in first, and then just bring it upwards, but as long as it's not too close to the under eye area, just there. So whatever you do, don't pass that point there. But with these having light reflecting pigments in this as well, it'll bounce the light back off as well. So it just adds that lovely subtle shape of the face as well, so it just creates more of a 2D, 3D effect. Okay, I'm just going to copy on the other side, and I'm just going to be applying some just down the nose area, just on the bridge, just around there, and I'll just pop a little bit on the brow bone area as well. Okay, I'm just using the same brush again. So just turn my hand that way so you can see. So it's more or less a case of just patting it in first and then blending it gently. Ooh, without a loose hair in the way. There we are. And then you can use your ring finger just to blend the eyebrow bone just there. Right, so using the same pen again, but I'm using it in a medium dark, this one. So this is going to be used for the contouring of the skin as well. So I'm just going to start contouring the cheekbones ready. So if you haven't seen the other previous videos of how I've applied that on, but if you just apply the sort of fishy trout pose, which is this, and then you can be able to see where the cheekbone is from there. So that's where you go put it underneath, but I will apply it on ready. So just in case if you're not sure where your cheekbone is, this is a good way of more or less figuring out where it is. Some of that up slightly, and then just using an angle fluffy brush there. So I always prefer something with an angle, so it just gives a little bit more precision that way. And then just buffing it, don't be afraid to really go into it. And then going upwards, which is important. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just apply a little bit of this around the sides of the nose there, so it just really sort of shapes it ready. So I'm just going to apply, what I'll probably do is just take a little bit off a pointy brush there. So most of the product is down at the bottom. So I'll just go from there. But you can apply it straight from the brush there. So as you can see, it just creates that line from there. And I'm just using a fluffy brush just to blend that. Okay, so now that's done, you can start to see that the face has got a little bit more shape and definition in there as well, so it isn't completely flat, so it looks absolutely great. So what I'm going to do is move on to defining the eyebrows next as well. So with her eyebrows, they are naturally quite fair, but within the photo shoot they have a little bit more depth and darkness in there, but that's more beneficial for the camera. So what I'm going to be doing is just using the Naked palette, and I'm going to be using Buck, which is this one there, so it has a little bit more depth in there. So just take some from my angle brush from Illamasqua and just create a little bit more depth in there as well, a little bit more shape to it. So it's just going over from the bottom. And then bringing the eyeshadow above from there. I mean, you can use a pencil, eyebrow pencil, sorry, to be able to define the eyebrows in, but I tend to sort of dip away from them because sometimes, well, through experiences when I've used the light pencils, they tend to make the eyebrows look too chalky or a little bit more too drawn on, so I've always tend to sort of stuck with the eyeshadows there. But if anybody has any recommendations on really good eyebrow pencils, then I'd want to know and have a try of them as well. So as you can see, it's starting to really come into shape now. And has a little bit more depth in there. So the secret is just blending it and just following the natural hair growth of the brow as well. So it just flows in beautifully. Okay, so now we can move on to the eye makeup next. So what I'm going to be doing is just using the MAC Paint Pot in Painterly, which is this one here. So I'm just going to apply that all over the lid so it just creates a nice sort of primer base for your eyeshadow. Okay, and I'm just going to apply some in the inner corners as well. So especially for the silver eyeshadow going on there, we want to make sure that it really holds on, which is the most important feature of the makeup. Okay, so for the top of the eyebrow bone, I'm just going to be using a nude eyeshadow, which I'm going to be using from my MAC palette. So this is Brood, which is this one here. So I'm just going to apply that on the top ready. Just going over. Okay, so what I'm going to be using on top of that eyeshadow is just a pigment from MAC, which is in Naked here. So as you can see, without tipping it over, it's a little bit more like a nudie colour, but it has a little bit of a goldy pigment in there as well. So it's really nice if you want to have something that's a little bit more of a shimmery feel as well. So I'm just going to apply that over, ready? So I'm just passing it in first, and then blend it when need to. Okay, so what I'm going to be doing also is just applying another pigment as well from MAC, which is in Vanilla here. So what I'm going to be doing is just applying that just on the very top of the actual brow bone there, so that way it just accentuates the brows, but it just adds a little something extra there. So I'll just apply that gently on. So it just blends in with the Naked pigment beautifully. So as you can see, it starts to really build up an impact there. And you can always add a little bit more on as you go as well, so just in case you want a little bit more impact. And this just adds a bit there. Alright, so now we're moving on to the smokiness of the eyes next. So what I'm going to be doing is just using an eyeshadow from MAC, and this one is in Legendary Black there. So this is a Pro Longwear eyeshadow, this one. I've been using it for about a year now, and it's really lovely to use. So the idea of this as well, it's almost like a very faint kind of black, but you can add a little bit more on as you want to as well. But what we're going to do is add a little bit more of the black on the lid, and then just blend it out really quite softly as we go along the top as well. So just blend that on my brush, and then just apply. So with the paint pot being on as well, it will grab hold of the eyeshadow, so it will make it last much longer. And then what I'm doing also is just blending a little bit up past the crease as well. This is mostly from the outside of the eyes. And then just using a fluffy brush just to blend that. So it just softens the black, so it almost goes into a light kind of soft grey. Okay, and just using the fluffy brush as well, it's just going in with the eyeshadow. And then, I don't know whether you've noticed within the makeup in there, it's a little bit more darker in the inner corners, and it just blends up towards the inner side of the actual eyebrow. So I'm just going to pop that along here, really blending it. And then blending along towards the crease. Okay, so once you're happy with the placement of the eyeshadow, what I'm going to be doing next is just applying a little bit more of a darker black along the rims of the eyelash as well. So what I'm going to be doing is just using the black from the Naked palette again, but I'm going to be using the colour Creep, which is in this black here. So just grabbing a brush ready, and then what I'm going to do first is just pat it on to the actual lash line there, and then build it up as I go, so that way you get more of the intensive black in there as well, and then you can blend it just to blend in with the Legendary Black. So you can start to see that the black is really intensified as well. And then just using a fluffy brush just to blend that. Okay, so I'm just going to be using the Legendary Black again, but what I'm going to do is just apply it on the lower lash line ready. So I'm just using a pointy dome brush just to go under there. But it's a little bit more softer as well, so I'm just going to blend that in nicely. And as long as it just follows the upper rim there, so it just lifts the eyes up nicely. And then what I'm going to be doing is just using a dome brush, another one, just to blend it, so that way it just softens the whole of the makeup. Okay, so I'm just going to go back in with the Naked palette with the Creep. So what I'm going to do is just add a little bit more of the darkness on the lid as well, so that way it just adds a little bit more of a intensiveness there, and a little bit more strength. Okay, so what I'm going to do next is just line the top of the lid. So I'm just going to be using the Illamasqua Precision ink, and I can't pronounce the name again, but I'll just say it's in the black version, but you'll know what I mean on the site anyway. So I'm just going to take a little bit of that, and I'm just going to pop a little bit of a fine line so it's not too much there. So it's all about the big smokiness of this as well. Okay, so the last part of the eyes is the silver eyeshadow in the inner corners of the eyes, which I'm very looking forward to. So I've been excited about this part because I think that's what makes the whole makeup look so beautiful and absolutely, in awe of it. So what I'm going to be using is a MAC Pure pigment, which is in Platinum there. So I would tip up the little pot, but I've got a feeling it might spill all over my dressing table. So it'll be a little bit of a mess, but there you go. But that's the silver that I'm going to be using. So it's a little bit more of a stronger silver eyeshadow. But you can use any sort of like silver eyeshadow, even if it's like Urban Decay. MAC don't do so much, but theirs pigment is really, really good. Or trying to think of a few others, but if you have an experiment around and see which ones that you find really intensive, then that should be fine. So I'm just going to apply that ready. So what I'm doing is I'm just patting it onto the inner corners. But you can start to see that the silver is really coming along now, and it's very strong. And just use the point of the brush there just to go along the lash line. So as you can see, what I'm doing is I'm just bringing that around the top of the lash line, but then just blending it a little bit and then just going a little bit so it just takes away any of the harsh lines that are around there as well. As you can see, perfect. Okay, so what I'm doing is just blending just the very edges of the top, just to make sure it's really nice and soft so it's not too harsh. But that we were still keeping like the silver as the main focus. So for this particular look, in the photo shoot, she doesn't wear any false eyelashes on there. So what I'm going to do is just leave the eyelashes out. But what I'm going to do is just curl the lashes ready, so it just makes them a little bit more pronounced there. But obviously you won't be able to see them because with the whole look of the whole of the makeup, you won't be able to sort of be able to notice the eyelashes very much anyway, because with the whole of the placement of the eyeshadow is sort of like the main focus of the look, so we don't want to distort it too much. So here we go. Hopefully my eyes won't water. So it's just tensing and squeezing the lash there. Okay, so I nearly forgot the waterline of the eyes as well. So what I'm going to be doing is just using the Smolder from MAC, the pencil. So I'm just going to go along the lash line ready. So again, it just makes the whole makeup look a little bit more stronger and refined. Right, and to finish off the eyes using the mascara, so what I'm going to be using is the MAC Hoot and Naughty Lash from there. So I'm just going to use the thicker one there, so it just makes the lashes a little bit more fuller as well, but it won't overdo too much of the eyeshadow there with it. So with the eyelashes nicely curled, don't need to do too much. Okay, I'm just going to pop a little bit of mascara at the bottom of the lashes as well. Okay, so that's the eyes now complete. So what I'm going to do next is just apply a little bit of the concealer underneath the eyes. So I'm just using the new CID pen. So just go along underneath here. So just brightens up the whole of the eye as well. So especially with the eyes being quite dark, you want to make sure they're a little bit more vibrant as well. And you don't want to sort of see any purples or blues or any other different colour underneath the eyes. So just pat that in. Right, so now what I'm going to do is just finish off the cheeks ready. So what I'm going to do is just apply a little bit of shimmer on top of the cheekbone area there. So what I'm going to be doing is just using a Cream Blend colour in Pearl from MAC as well. So I'm just going to be using a little bit of that from my finger and just patting it on the top as well. So it just adds that little bit of a shimmer there for you. So on the video of the photo shoot, you can see that there was a little bit of a shimmery highlighter on the top. Lovely, and what I will also do is just add a little bit of a shimmery foundation as well. So this is the Shimmering Event Foundation in Pearl by Crayola. So So I'm just going to taking a little bit of that ready and just popping that on top of where we've put the cream blend on, so it just adds a little bit more of a shimmer. Just around here. Okay, so what I'm going to be doing next is just adding a little bit more contouring around the cheekbone as well. So what I'm going to be doing is just using the MAC Mineralized Skin Finish Natural in MAC, which is in the medium dark colour, as you can see. But I'm just going to be using only a little bit of it, just to start with. And what you can always do is just tap a little bit off your hand around there, so that way it's not too much, but you can always add a bit more if you need more depth. So just go along from where we applied the medium dark concealer around there, and then just blend that upwards. You can see the shape will start to come together. Okay, and then finishing off with a blusher. So what I'm going to be doing is just using the MAC cream blush, which is in Lady Blush there. Sorry, it's a bit messy, so you get a little bit of leakage with some products there. So using a little bit of that, and just tapping a little bit on the apples of the cheeks. And blending that upwards slightly. So it just adds a little bit of colour. Okay, so last but not least, we're going to go on to the lips next. So what I'm going to be doing is just using a medium pencil from Illamasqua in Feisty. So it's a nice, lovely red one there. So I'm just going to use it to line the lips round ready. So what we're going to do with this particular lip shape with hers, they're more or less applied quite naturally to our own lips as well, but I'm going to try and lift mine up a little bit more. Right, so I'm just going to colour that into the lips again, so it just stops the lipstick from bleeding out as well. And if the lipstick does fade, then at least you've got a little bit of a base to see underneath. Okay, so for the lipstick, what I'm going to be doing is using Yves Saint Laurent's Rouge Volump lipstick in number 17. So as you can see, I've used this before on many YouTube tutorials as well, especially Marilyn Monroe's makeup look as well. So I'm going to be using a little bit of this. Unfortunately, they're going to discontinue this colour as well, which I'm really disappointed on, so because it's one of my most favourite red lipsticks of just ever, really. So I've been stocking up a little bit on this one as well, but it's more or less kind of like a raspberry kind of red as well, very classic red. So there will still be a few more, I've been told from Yves Saint Laurent, that they will be keeping that sort of colour but in a different range. But this one's a little bit more of a glossy kind of lipstick there, because it has moisturising capsules in this as well, so it really helps to condition the lips as well. So no wonder that their lipsticks are absolutely wonderful. So apply that over. And there you have it, that is the complete makeup look for you, all done. So what I've done is I've taken out the pin curls, and as you can see, they're really nice, lovely tight curls, which was a bit of a shock, so it's actually gone a little bit boingy up there, but it's perfect anyway, because with her hairdo, it's a little bit more shorter. So there you have it, that is the look all complete and finished for you. So I hope you enjoyed watching this YouTube video, and it's given you a few ideas to recreate this look as well, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Take care, bye.